warrior's mindset. It's about conditioning the mind, body, and spirit. It takes practice, commitment, vision, goal setting, determination, sharp focus, respect, and discipline. Once you learn it, you can apply it to all aspects of your life. The warrior's mindset prepares you for the largest competition ever, the competition against self.
Welcome everybody to the new radio show that we start now called Warrior Mindset. Basically based upon mind, body, and spirit. And as we know, and I always tell you how much you mean to me and how much you inspire me. But for the audience out there, can you tell? I know everybody know who you are. They know you Grandmaster Billy Blanks. You created Tae Bo. You're one of the greatest martial art masters on the planet. But can you give them a brief introduction on who you are?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Billy Blanks. I'm the Tae Bo creator. I studied martial arts for almost 50 years, have a 9th degree black belt in Taekwondo. I've been studying a Hung Gar, Choi Gar, Fu Gar, Kung Fu. I have a 4th degree black belt there and a black belt in Judo. A little bit of everything. I've been training for a long time and love training, still been trained till the day I leave this earth. And that's what I love to do is help people.
And I mean, how did you get started? What was the reasons that really brought you to the martial arts?
Well, I got started in martial. Always wanted to study martial arts. I saw Bruce Lee in the Green Hornet, and when I saw that, I saw the discipline and focus that Bruce Lee had. It wasn't all about fighting, because I grew up in a bad neighborhood, right? And growing up in a bad neighborhood, you gotta learn how to fight anyway, or you get beat up all the time, right?
Yes, sir.
I learned how to fight by not going to school. Every time you go to school, you get in a fight, right? And then from there, I started off with boxing. I wanted to learn how to box, so I got into boxing. But then when I started boxing, all I kept hearing the trainer say, when you see blood, you got to act like a shark and you want to kill him, right? And I didn't like that. I mean, I already knew how to do some stuff like that, right? So I didn't understand what he was talking about at that time. I was young, and all I wanted to do was learn how to protect myself and have some discipline, right? So they opened up this karate studio at the Martin Luther King Center. They built a youth center called the Martin Luther King Center, and when they built that youth center, they said they was going to have a karate program. So one day, me and like 5 other guys, at that time, I was in a little small gang called the Black Dragons, And like I said, again, got in that gang because I didn't want to get beat up. And, I was one of them kids that didn't have that self-assurance and confidence. Even though I had 10 brothers and 5 sisters, I still was like the loner of the family. I was like quiet, shy, didn't say too much to many people. And then I went down there with the gang members. And this Korean guy and this black gentleman was standing inside the gym, and they saw us over at the door. He walked over and said, "Hey, you guys want to join karate?" And I wanted to say really bad, "Yeah, man, I want to join karate." But I know if I did, the gang members would beat you up, right? So when he came over, the gang members said, "No, that's for girls. That's for sissies. Nobody want to take that stuff." So we all left, and we went home. And when they went home, I turned around and came back. I went right back to there, and the guy said, "Hey, you want to take karate?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'll bet you $5 you don't stick it out." I said, "Okay, that's, everybody was always saying I'm not going to stick out anything anyway. Sure, let's take the bet." And now I'm a 9th degree black belt in Taekwondo, and he's not even teaching Taekwondo. So it's really, really a blessing, man. I started off, with the youth center, and eventually got involved with martial arts really heavy. And then started working out with Mr. Park Jong-soo in Toronto, Canada, and Mr. Tim Fong Wong in Buffalo, New York. And James 10. Most of my instructors were Asian.
I was saying, how would you relate like the spirit of the warrior's mindset of mind, body, and spirit to the development of you in the martial arts? How did that come about for you?
Well, I think for me, it's like everything that I at the time, I didn't understand faith. I didn't know what faith was. I just saw my mom go to church and pray all the time and believe God was going to help her in anything that she did, right? And watching her do that, I just said, well, you know what? In order for me to be good in martial arts, I gotta work out by faith. My brother gave me a Bible with the word faith on it. I said, okay, faith, what is it? So I started looking it up. It's believing and working on things that you can't see. So I wanted to be a world champion. I saw myself as a world champion, but I didn't have it in my hand. So I knew that faith was going to get me there. So I just started saying, okay, these are the goals that I want to set up for my life. I want to become a black belt in a year and a half. So every day I would go to karate every day, and I would go there hour before the instructor would come. I'll be inside the gym. I'll be in there practicing all my moves, and he'd come in, he'll see me. And eventually, within a year and a half, I got my first degree black belt in Tong Sudo. And then from that point on, man, it's just, being able to, I think the warrior spirit is a person who fights and never gives up, and has got to have faith, because whatever they're fighting for is they can't see it until they actually have it in their hands. But you got to have that vision. You got to have something that you're going for. I think a lot of people go for things, and they don't have a vision. They actually lose the vision. They get a vision at first, but then when they see hard times come and they see detours come, they have a tendency to go, maybe that's too hard for me. Maybe I'm not supposed to do it. And then they lose their dream, and then they don't never get it. And they could be that person just like me and you. They could be that person. Then if they keep stepping out, sooner or later, they'll be where they want to be. It just takes hard work and discipline and dedication.
And for me as a kid coming up, I call myself, I look at me as being the water boy when I seen you on the circuit, just sitting on the side, and you were just so quiet. I mean, your technique, I always say your technique was so superb. I mean, I remember seeing you one time grab a guy who did a front kick, and you grabbed him and did it was like a perfect one-step sparring technique in an actual sparring match. How did you allow your mind to be focused on being, when we talk about technically correct, you have always been technically correct. How did you achieve that in martial arts and life? And what does that mean?
Well, I think, being technically correct is just getting out there practicing technique. When you view your technique, I'm always looking in the mirror, making sure the technique is clean, proper. I think being able to put yourself in a situation where you have confidence in that ability. If you don't have confidence, then you can't be as good as you want to be, right? So I would always, I do 1,000 times. They say if you do something over 10,000 times, your mind will start to make your body memorize what you do. So I would do it every day. I would practice the spin kick. I would practice jump kick. I would practice punches. I say today I'm gonna do 1,000 spin kicks. And I knew if I went to a tournament, I was gonna hit somebody with a spin kick because I did it 1,000 times, right? And I had the confidence behind it. And I would always think, what is the fastest thing that could hit me if I'm going to throw something at somebody? I don't care if it's a roundhouse kick or a punch. What is the fastest thing that they can hit me with? What is the fastest thing they can counter me with? And so what I practice, always practice like that. But then I always said, too, I want to be able to do what they do in the movies. When people, back in the days, people do all the kung fu movies. You see all that stuff, but you never see it in fighting. You never see guys limit themselves. So my thing was like, whatever you see people do in the movies, I want to be able to do it in real life. And eventually, it got to that point where I could do cartwheels, I could jump kick, I could do that on people, jump over somebody's head, kick them, back fist them, it was the things that I practiced all the time. I used to just practice. I want to be I really didn't care about winning. My goal wasn't about winning. My goal was about being able to make the audience go, wow, he's a good technician. I wanted to be able to, I wanted to be able to walk into a martial arts studio in Asia, like Japan or Korea, and everybody go, that's a true martial artist. And I felt like if I could get that respect from Asian people, then I knew that I could get it from my own people, because Western people work hard, they're athletic, but my goal was to be able to get it in the Eastern world. If I can get it in the Eastern world, then I've done what God wanted me to do.
And you bring up two interesting questions right there. One, what was it when the most famous thing that I know as a kid that I remember, and I always wanted to see, what made you come up? Because you took technique and you perfected it, but when challenges came, how did you even come up with a cartwheel kick to counter the world champion at that time and dethrone him with his back fist reverse punch? How did you even do that? How did you apply that sort of training to your life?
Well, I just think one of the things I wanted to be able to do was because Steve Anderson taught me how to do a back fist reverse punch. He was one who was a master at the blitz, right? So I went to Arizona and I trained with him for like almost 2 weeks. We trained together, we worked out together, we lift weights together. I introduced him to weight training, And then he liked what weights were doing to it, giving him that confidence behind his moves. And he's, hey Billy, let me show you what I do with blitz. So he started showing me back fist, reverse punch, back fist, reverse punch. Then I started breaking it down myself. I started saying, okay, what can I make this better? So who can I find that has the fastest and the tricky footwork? And you know what I did? The two things. I went, what animal is the most fastest animal with fast twitch muscles? So I would say a gazelle. It moves really quick. So I said, I'm gonna see how they get their muscle fibers so quick that they can react and respond quick. And then I would say, who is the fastest like the snake in a tiger? Right? I looked at that, and then I said, what athlete is the fastest? I said, a sprinter. Sprinter out of the block is fast. And what does the sprinter do? He uses the block. He always has to have a block to explode off the block. So I start making the floor be my block, and then I start saying, let me use, as soon as the referee say fight, or as soon as I see an opening, I got to be like that sprinter, taking off, no hesitation. Just like you run 100 meters. As soon as that gun go off, you don't hesitate, you go. So that got me to where my offense started to become pretty quick, because I started thinking of myself as a sprinter. And then I started saying, who has the best footwork? Michael Jordan. I said, so let me take some of Michael Jordan's fakes and put them in my own stuff. I started working on some of the basketball footwork that he did, and I started putting them in karate. I started, I'm going to do that in karate. Fake people out and dribble them and then do stuff. And so my goal was to look at people who did stuff that was really good and then add it to my martial arts.
This is so awesome, because when we think of like point MMA, that's what we want. We want to complement other sports and allow other sports to complement us. And you're saying that's what you did, but was that a part of your culture when you grew up in those environments, and like the inner city, you played basketball, baseball? How important was that upbringing that connected you to such a diverse culture?
When I played sports, I didn't play sports first. I was too shy. I was the only brother that couldn't play sports. I got involved with karate first. Right. When I got involved with karate, it opened me up. When I got involved with martial arts, that opened me up. That gave me a chance to see out of my own eyes that I could do something. Always wanted to play basketball. Always wanted to play football. Always wanted to play baseball. But I was too nervous and I was too scared, because when it came to playing baseball and football and basketball, you had to read plays. And at that time, I had dyslexia. I had a hard time reading and memorizing things so I said, you know what, I'm not gonna play basketball because I can't read the plays, and can't play football because I can't read the plays. So I just said, I'll stay away from that. Karate is an individual thing. I can get involved with karate, and karate is what did it, man. Karate built me up. And then I looked at other athletes. I said, instead of being a karate man, I just don't want to be a karateka. I want to be a athletic karateka. So I said, let me look at the top athletes. So I started looking at Michael Jordan. I started looking at Greg Louganis. I started looking at all these football players, Willie Galt, people like those guys. And I was saying, okay, what can I do to make myself be an athlete as well as a martial arts person? That's what kicked it off for me.
That's awesome, because I grew up with Muggsy Bogues, the shortest NBA.
Yeah, I know Muggsy. He's a cool guy.
And when we were the community center that we learn martial arts at, he was a wrestler, so he could have became he was like a real bad. You know how little he is, so yeah. You can imagine little stalky guys wrestling you and holding you down.
Yeah, he's built too.
Yeah, yeah. So he was like one of my neighbors. So I used to be on the basketball court with him when he was doing basketball and wrestling. I would be doing martial arts. But I've identified with you where the martial arts gave you confidence, and now you could get on the court. It's just a fun question. Because I know me now with basketball, I could throw 3-pointers, half court. What is your best skill set with your basketball now? Man,
I played basketball, and first I was a karate man, and then I went out for, after school basketball, like, AAU basketball. Yeah. I played AAU. I got all defensive player. I was good at blocking shots. Okay. I could jump really. My vertical leap was probably like 42, 43 inches. I could dunk really good. I could shoot a jump shot. I like Wilt Chamberlain. My thing was I want to be like Wilt Chamberlain at the time. I did it. I loved everything Will Chamberlain did
Right.
back in those days. So I did a lot of dunking and a lot of fingertip roll, stuff like that. I did, and then my thing is to play defense, block people's shots, and get rebounds. I was a good rebounder. You know, at that time I was about 6 feet tall too. At the time, you know, so it was. I played center. Even at 6 feet. I played center, and I got a valuable player. You know, and I did it just to. I mean, because of karate. One but karate, I would have never done it. You know, but I did that, and then I went to one day. I went on vacation. I went to Hawaii, and I was walking in the gym. I was walking around the gym, and this guy said, "Hey, come here for a second. What do you do?" He said, "Can you catch a football?" I said, "Yeah, I can catch a football. Can you run?" "Yeah, I can run." It was Dan Cornell who was the coach of the San Diego Chargers. He invited me to spring training camp.
Whoa.
To play football, but I said, "No, I don't want to do that. You know, karate is what got me where I am." So I didn't take that offer, and I just said, "You know what? I'm gonna stick with karate." I really appreciate it. He sent me a letter of me coming to the camp. You know, he wanted me to try out for defensive back, right? So I said, you know, hey, could have done it, but I didn't do it. I stuck with karate, and it's been a blessing. And karate has taken me all over the world.
And it's interesting because I mean, like I said, I try not to get emotional. And I know I always get emotional when I talk to you because you mean so much to me. You inspired me so much as a little kid just because you were being you.
Well, thank you.
You weren't a showboater. You just was Billy Blanks, and
that's it. I mean, you know why? I think the reason why my mom and dad are good dad. My dad had 15 kids, and usually sometimes fathers leave their kids, right? My father stayed there, man, until he went to the grave. You know, he worked for himself, work every day. Told us, Billy, if you guys ever gonna get something in life, you're gonna have to work for it. Nobody gonna ever give you anything free, and if they do, there's something behind it. So whenever you want, you're gonna have to work for it. And I just took up my father's the way he spoke, and my father's really disciplined. I'm glad he was, because if he wasn't disciplined, I probably would be in prison or dead somewhere, right? In the street, because where I grew up, nothing but street gangs and all kind of stuff going on. So the discipline he had on all the 10 boys in our house, it kept us all focused. All my brothers are athletes. None of them got in trouble. And if we did get in trouble, my father wouldn't bail us out. He'd make us go. I had one brother who had to go to prison for 1 year. My father didn't help him. He just said, "You're going to prison. You did it. You're going to prison." Right? So he was one of those fathers who was tough love, and I'm glad he was. Because if he wouldn't, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you.
And it's awesome because you could have did anything. You could have did movies. You're such a complete martial artist. And through that journey, I want to move away from the martial arts, and I want to go a little bit deeper on this path. We know all the crazy things that's happening in the world, but before I even go to that, to me, it's kind of like you said, you wanted to have the respect of the Asian martial artists, you know, and please bear with me because I'm just trying, these tears of love and joy. When we were at the Wesley Snipes show, you remember that moment?
Yeah.
And you pulled me in a room and you sat there and talked to me for almost 2 hours. How did that even happen? You gave me your Bible. You gave me, what makes you so humble and so giving like that, Master Billy? How?
Well, I just think that, I believe God put people together for a purpose. I don't think me and you met by accident. I know it was for a purpose. And God put in my head to talk to you, and when he did, I'm not going to deny what God told me, because, it's by faith I got whatever I got, And when you can see somebody like yourself that they got a gift, you got to tell them. And you say if they take it, like sometimes it's, you got to step out, right? You could have told me, "Man, get away from me." You could have said that and go, "You know what? I still was going to do what God said to do." You know what I mean? Because that's what God wanted me to do.
Yes, sir.
And you received it, and I was like, "Oh, that was awesome." God was telling the truth, right? And when I see that you received it, that even opened up the door for me to start even talking to other people. It's like because it's hard to walk over to a person and start talking about God or, hey, man, if you do this, you can change your life. If you do this, you can do that. I believe you can do anything you want to do. It just takes hard work. I don't let my color of my skin block me from doing whatever I do. My dad taught me it's the content of the person gets you where you are. And if you just stay focused and disciplined, yeah, people going to do all kind of stupid stuff, but you don't have to let that be the thing that guides your life. I come out of the street, excuse me, I came out of the street and I could get on here going, hey, what's up, man? You know what I'm talking about. You know, I could be talking all that slang stuff, but that's not the way I was brought up. I was brought up to speak right? And if I try to act like that, people, who is that? Hey. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
So my thing was to stay as humble as possible because I know who gave me what I got. I know I have a big God, man. I have a big God. He gave me what I got. And when you step to the side, he said, okay, God, take over. Do your thing. He will. But when you try to get in the middle of it, you'll mess it up. I've done it so many times. I try to get in front of God and say, okay, God, okay, you talking to me here, but now it's my time to take over. And all I do is put myself in the dump.
And that's me too. And it's telling you, as you go to that and talking about allowing God to drive us on this bus in life, I think of a book I'm reading by the founder of the company called Hobby Lobby. And he's a real spiritual guy. Because I read in the morning a lot. And this chapter this morning, he talks about when he had to let go Hobby Lobby because God was the owner. And there was something that was happening in the world that he had to take a stand against because it was against the spiritual principles. And he had to go to court and all this. And he prayed and he said, you know, if I lose everything, I know that God owns all things. And it once again, it reveals how important is that connection to God for the sake of all the things that we're going to do. Do you think that I did an interview with was Master Great, and he said, do you think that we have a lot of struggles because too many people are disconnected from the spirit?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
I believe that.
I mean,
I believe that.
Relate to that, especially for what's going on in the world right now.
I believe that. I believe people are taking God out the picture. When you take God out the picture, then you start to lean on yourself and you lean on other people. When you start leaning on other people, they're just as faulty as you are. Do you know what I mean? They fall like you fall. And my thing is like, well, you know what? God created the world. God created everything in the world. God said, if I believe this and I believe that, these are the things I'm going to have. I ain't got no reason not to believe him. I believe man. I gave man that chance. So let me give God the same chance and see what happens in my life. I can always tell God, okay, I tried you out. You don't work. So I'm going back to what I used to do. So, you know, when I gave my life to Christ, that was, you know, every day I'm learning how to commit more and give more to him. Because it says, you know, it says in the Bible, you know, when you receive Christ, I received Christ. Christ is supposed to be in me, right? And people don't understand when you say, is Christ in you? Yeah, he's in you if you study. If you don't study, then he's not in you. It's like when you're doing martial arts. You can say, yeah, I'm a 9th degree black belt in Kung Fu, but you don't work out. So is it in you? No, you don't practice. You know, but when you out there and you working on your stuff, it's in you. So is it going to come out? Yeah. Why? Because you study. So when I get into a situation where I know Christ is in me, is he going to be there with me 24/7? Yeah, because the first thing I'm going to do is bring up a scripture. I'm going to bring up a scripture. Instead of being saying, okay, Billy, what are you going to do? You're going to do this? Or I'm thinking Billy's way. It ain't going to work. It's not going to work. It's going to give me setbacks. So my goal, you know, is to make sure I step out of the picture. I step out of the way. When I did the Geico commercial, I prayed. You know, me and my wife, we prayed. Say, hey, Heavenly Father, allow Billy to move over and let Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit take over in this shoot. And when I did that right at the shoot, right, when I did that shoot, man, I did not hesitate on any of the language. I did not hesitate on any of the words. Everything just flowed. And even though I had a bad hip, I didn't feel no pain. I went through almost a 12-hour shoot like it was nothing. And at the end of the day, when I finished, I knew that commercial was going to be well, because it wasn't about Billy. It was about the faith that I allowed God to use me, and God took it and he allowed men to put it in a form where they needed to put it in to allow people to watch it and go, whoa, that was pretty cool. Well, and then usually they don't put bloopers on TV, right? As a commercial. They use the bloopers as a commercial. That's how blessed it was, man. That stuff that I got wrong, because they wanted to show people that I was a real person.
Right.
So I just think, faith, when people say using God and using faith, using whatever they believe in, I don't tell people what to believe in, but I know Jesus is a king of peace. And if Jesus is a king of peace and he's in me, I got to be at peace.
Hope you're enjoying the show. Want to tell you about something that's dear to my heart. My book, The Warrior's Mindset Daily Devotions. Pick up your copy by hitting the link below. Remember, if your principles are negotiable, you don't have principles. Be the warrior from the inside out. And Master Billy, I tell you, they say, plant no seeds. When you gave me that Bible, I went through some of the most darkest moments of my life. And that Bible always was on time. I was able to pull it out and I passed it on to my son. It's like, because they say in order to keep it, you give it away. And I just think, just the man that you are, because you surrender to God. What can you say to some little kid? Because right now we got some kids that's not going to come back. I mean, they are lost. We got to work so much harder now to save what somebody said, 1 out of 100. That's what the guy told me. He said only 1 out of 100 statistics say it's going to make it. But we got to change that. You said 2020. How does 2020 relate to the Warriors mindset? And what is the call to action to other people to get up and go back and empower these youth?
Well, this is what I'm saying. When you say 2020, right? I was born with 2020 vision. That's perfect vision. Yes. God gave everybody perfect vision, right? So I said, the year 2020 is God's perfect vision for men, children, women. That's God's perfect vision for men, children, and women. That doesn't mean that when things come up in your eyesight, they're not all going to be good. They're going to be detours. They're going to be places that you're going to see things happen. But you got to have that 2020 vision focus to be able to go, that ain't right. That ain't right. I closed my studio, right? I closed my studio. There was a purpose for me closing my studio. I got up every morning, came inside this living room right now. We took our furniture out of here. This is like a workout room now, right? I get up and my students see when I come on to do my Zoom classes, I say, okay, guys, I'm in the living room with Billy Blanks and the family, my wife and my daughter. We get up and we do a class for all the public people. And, it showed people that, he's right. We inside of our house. How come we don't make our public house be a place of peace, joy, strength? Everything that God said should be in your household. Look, I can get a chance to do that here. Yeah, I don't have my studio anymore, but that's okay. That's something that maybe I was not supposed to be able to have, right? Because when I had it, all I could do was teach people in California. But now I got 46 countries that come on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 46 countries that come on and work out with me. The days that I'm working out, they come on and train with me. So did it hurt me? No, it didn't hurt me. What it did was say, and enhance my ability to say, you know what? Maybe I might not have my studio, but I can get inside my studio and still use that vision that God gave me when I opened up my studio. And now I could do it in a bigger way. I can come out of my bedroom, turn on the camera. I got people coming from all over the world that come in and work out with me. But I can get in my car, come out of my bedroom, get in my car, go to my studio, and maybe 3 people show up. It took people caught people off guard, made people go, oh. And then even people with big businesses, people shut down their doors, people lost their jobs, even though, we still have to keep that vision, still have to keep that perfect vision, because those things are going to happen. And when they do happen, if you stay spiritually, mentally strong in it, then you'll be able to come out of it. So I always tell the kids, say, guys, listen, you're going to have these. I talk to my daughter all the time. I say, Angelica, you know what? You might not be going to school, but what you do when you don't go to school, the stuff that you do at home, be around your parents, we all get a chance to see you. I get a chance to see what your teachers see, because I see you all day. If you're being lazy in school, I can say things that help you out. You can see me as a dad. You can see how I've changed since the pandemic, So Pandemic, yeah, it was a thing that nobody wanted, but when it came, I'm glad that I didn't take God out of my picture. God is always in my picture. I have a plaque on the wall that says, "Remember, I'm still God." And I look at that sign, no matter what goes on. And I read Psalms 91. And Psalms 91 is, well, I say, I'm up under the wing of the Most High, Most Almighty, right? And Almighty, I'm up under His wing. He's carrying me. Doesn't matter what come at me, diseases, anything. They'll fall at me. They'll fall down beside me. 10,000 fall at my feet, and 1,000 on the other side. So, but it will never come near you. And if you believe in those words, then and you believe in who God is, then you would be protected, and that's how I feel. I stand strong in that, and I teach my daughters. I said, my daughter, she only 12, she just turned 12 years old. And I said, Angelica, just remember, she gets bullied, she gets bullied in school. She tall. She's about 5, she only 12 years old, but she's about 5'9". Kids like to bully her because she's quiet, shy. And if I said, go talk to the principal, and if they don't do anything, you're second degree black belt. I'm going to tell you, unleash the warrior. You have to unleash the warrior. You got to unleash the warrior, because some people don't know how to stop, right? And so she went. Me and my wife went in and talked to the principal, and okay, we don't want her doing that. So so I said, y'all better talk to people. And so they went and talked to the kid, and then the kid parents went nuts because the kid, they didn't think their kid was doing that in school.
Right.
These are pretty popular people. They're pretty popular people. They on TV a lot. So it caught them off guard. So it really, really they had to talk to their son.
And it's awesome because I do agree. It brought me and my family, it brought us together.
Right.
It allowed us to have time to eat. It's like, it's a blessing in disguise, because it did do a lot of great things. It allowed me and my son to get to know one another. He the one that set up the whole Zoom stuff. So he upstairs doing school and so forth. But I think the other thing that stands out too is that for especially martial arts industries, people that are stuck and they waiting for it to go back to the old way.
They ain't gonna never go back. It's not going back.
But and that brings me to the question to ask you. I remember when we did the interview and you first seen Point MMA, and you told me, you said, why don't you have your name on Point MMA? Because most people don't realize we just called it Point MMA. It wasn't Willie the Bam Johnson's Point MMA. Why is it important for people to understand branding their product or branding what they do for what? I mean, and what's the purpose behind that from
legacy? Legacy.
Okay.
When you put your name down on it and people remember, ooh, that's Bam's MMA. Oh, it's not just MMA, Point MMA. That's anything. Point MMA could be this Point MMA. It's called Billy Blank's Tae Bo, right? So everybody knows is Billy Blank's Tae Bo Nation. But if I just say Tae Bo by itself, it takes me out of the picture, even though people know who I am. But because it was called Billy Blank's Tae Bo, or Billy's Tae Bo, or Billy's Boot Camp, I always put my name by it because it was a brand that helps me leave a legacy behind.
Okay. And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Master Billy. I'm sorry.
And then I think then people can't. People try to always say they started something. This is what I did. I did this. I did that. No, it wasn't for Bam. You wouldn't even understand Point MMA. Everything MMA, people think of the hard style, knocking people out. But you created a system that's where everybody could do it and have a great time and not get hurt.
Mm-hmm. And it's a Billy Blank's technique in there, right?
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, you told me.
For me, I think the privilege of growing up as a kid and seeing one of the greatest eras of martial arts transformation that you was a part of, I think if we don't remember our history, we forget it and we repeat it. Even the bad. So a lot of times we repeat the bad more than we repeat the good. So I want the next generation to know that you guys made it possible for Raymond Daniels to now do a cartwheel kick. You made it possible for people. I mean, you could have went on and became a Hollywood just movie star. not just a Tae Bo star. When you got so many choices that God has given you, what made you choose Tae Bo?
What made me choose Tae Bo is God made me a helper of people.
Okay.
I want to help people, and that was the only way I could help people at that time. That was the way that God wanted me to help people. I could talk to people. I could bring people to Christ, by doing that. After seminar, I talk to people, and people come to Christ, right? So it was a good way for me to learn how to communicate. In the midst of that, it opened up doors for me to go, hey, use Billy Blanks for that part. Hey, use Billy Blanks for that part. Hey, use Billy Blanks for that part. I could have said, no, you know what? I did Tae Bo already. Let me let them just put it out there and let me just get back into the movie industry. That's not what made me who I am. What made me who I am is martial arts. And I always said when I retire, I want to be able to take my martial arts skills to help the world. That was my goal, is to take my martial arts skills to help the world. It wasn't about me taking my martial arts skills, helping other martial artists, because other martial art people don't want to listen. I feel like other martial arts people, they don't want to give in and say, he's right. This is a really good system that will help us out. They want to do their own thing. They got too big of egos. I think if martial art people could drop their egos and allow martial arts to go where it should go, this would be a better place for martial arts. Even when the perspective, look at the pandemic, most people don't feel like they can learn on screen, right? Martial arts, they don't feel like they can do martial arts and get a lot out of it. Yes, you can. If you open up yourself and allow yourself to be in your own living room, be in your own basement and say, hey, let me allow Bam or Billy to teach me some proper martial arts skills, they can learn a lot. But most people won't allow that. They go, I need to touch somebody. I need to do this. No, you don't need to do that. If you come on and say, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you a good workout first, and then we're gonna go through some skills, make you sweat, make you sore. But we're gonna go through some skills. I need to see your focus. I can see on here. I can see everything you're doing. So if we still communicating, I might not be touching you, but I could still teach you and help you move. I think martial arts people have a tendency, like when martial arts came out, I really believe if everybody, like when you came out with Point MMA, right? Now, every instructor could say, you know what? That's pretty good for our students. Let's gravitate toward that. They didn't do that. They want, okay, maybe I can come up with some of my own. Let me try this out. Let me do this. Let me do that. Instead of them going, boom, you guys done something great. Let's build it up and take it to the next level. Now, could you imagine me waiting on them guys to help me take Tae Bo to the next level? They wouldn't be. Tae Bo wouldn't have went into the homes of people.
Yes,
so I said, you know what? No, when I retire, I'm going to take Tae Bo to everyday people. And then eventually, the martial art people want to do it, they'll do it. And what do? They all trying to do it now because they knew that it was something good for their studio. So everybody's doing something called cardio kickboxing. Everybody's trying to do it.
Everybody took your singing to move too.
Right. But if they
inspiration right there.
Right. But if they was to have say, you know what? Really come out with something good. Let's all unify in it and make it a big thing.
Right. Yeah.
But martial art people won't do that. They hurt each other more than help each other. They hurt each other. They don't. I'm not saying everybody, but they hurt each other instead of building each other up.
Yeah, and you know what's so awesome, and as we're coming to a close here, you told me, take it to the households. You said go to the kids. You told me make up little images where the kids can fight obesity monsters. You remember all that?
Yeah.
Told me, and that's what we was doing. So before then, everybody was fighting against us. They didn't want to help us. But for me and my wife, like, whoa, we can now do it on virtual. We already got the big. Only thing we changed, we now call an element of it Kids 37 Skills Point MMA. It's 37 movements that you have to learn, like basketball drills, and you can do your own point MMA.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's like it's a good curriculum.
But I got that from you, and I thank you for that. And how do we break through? How do we get anybody? Because these kids need us, these moms need us. What will you say to people? Why is it important for us to go back to our Creator and break through and make a commitment for the next generation? What would you say?
I think the most important thing is understanding. When you say go back to the Creator, go back to God and say, hey, who's the foundation of the world? Well, for me, I can't tell people what their foundation is, but if you ask me, who's the foundation of my world? I say God and Jesus Christ is my foundation. So with that, I can do anything. There ain't nothing I can't do. Why? My father owned everything. Even the land you standing on, he owns. You might not know it, but I know it. Even the boat that your father put in, the yacht that your father put in the ocean, my father owns that. If it wasn't for him creating the water, you couldn't even put that boat that you bought inside the water. So if you have the confidence of knowing who those people are in your life, Christ, and if Christ says, the Bible says Christ is the one who made all things. So if Christ made all things, then that means everything he made, if it's good, I should have it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If it's not good, I don't want it. But he didn't tell me that I should not have this and I should not have this. No, he said, I created this for you. I gave you dominion over. Can you imagine God coming forth and say to you, bam, I gave you dominion over every creeping thing on the earth. I'm going to give you the power to possess those things. But when you do, understand who gave it to you. What happens to people when God gives them stuff, they start to take God out the picture and they start thinking about themselves. Look at what I'm doing. Look at me. Look at this. I don't do that. I say, look, take Billy Blanks out the picture of Tae Bo. I go, one for God, Tae Bo be dead. But look, God kept Tae Bo in people's hearts. It's been out for almost 40 years now, and it's still in the hearts of people. And think about it. The Geico commercial, what did God do? He opened it back up. Now people seeing Tae Bo on TV again. Yeah. Making people pull their tapes out, right? But it could have been, you know what? Billy had his little run, it's done. No, God opened up the door. You know, and like if you look at Cobra Kai, I'm getting ready to go on. I did an episode, right? It's going to air, I think tomorrow. And I just did this little scene. I created this workout called Cobra Kai Bo, right? They wanted to get it fitness now, right? So this is a great opportunity for me to get out there and say, you know, do some of the things they wanted me to do. But, you know, they allow me to change because I don't swear. I don't cuss. You know, in Cobra Kai, they say all kind of stuff, you know. Yeah. I said, that's not me, that person. So they say, however you put it in your own words, you say it. You do it. But we need you to be tough. And say, I know how to be tough. You know, if you're a Marine sergeant, you got to train a group of kids. You got to take them through a battle before they go through a war. You can't be a baby with them. You got to teach them how to have focus, discipline, and honor, right? So I just did that. And it turned, y'all know if you've seen the promotions.
Yeah, I saw the promotions.
It turned out just the little promotions, the workout they did a really awesome job filming the workout.
That's awesome.
So I just tell the kids, man, on the show, don't give up. Keep your faith. Most important thing is to keep your faith and keep your foundation. You're going to always go through turmoils, but the most important thing is understand who your source is. And when you know who your source is, ain't nowhere in the world you could lose.
I thank you, Master Billy. You, as I always say, you're my spiritual advisor. You mean so much to me from the heart and soul because of your humility. And guess what? Tomorrow, I got a special friend of yours. I know not your first movie, King of Kickboxers. I got an interview with Keith Steinberg tomorrow.
Oh, that's all. Tell him I said hi, man.
I'm going to give him your number. Can I give him your number?
Yeah. Hey, maybe what time are you interviewing him?
At 2 o'clock, around the same time. No, it's 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Okay, can I come on and say hi?
Yeah, you can come on. I can do it with both of y'all.
I'd come on and say, hey, Keith, what's up, man?
Hey,
I know. I'll just come on and say hi to him. That's all.
All right, okay. And I'm maybe and then y'all exchange numbers. He lives in the UK and he's working on some stuff. But I know how much you meant to that particular role, King of Kickboxers, man.
Yeah, that was the fun movie to do, man.
What was the other guy that you
Lauren Abaddon.
Yes, I be talking to him on LinkedIn now too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. And Keith Cook, you know who Keith Cook is, right?
Yeah. All right. We used to compete against each other. That's
Keith Hirabayashi. Keith Hirabayashi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all was on it. The next time we do an interview, we got to talk about the history of when martial arts could have been a paid sport, and you were a part of the first wealth in martial arts, Budweiser, Trans Oil, And guess who else I got doing an interview, doing a testimony in the book? Chuck Berry.
Oh, that's great. That is great. That's great. That's great, man.
So maybe our next interview, if that's possible, is the history. What could have happened if everybody would use the wealth for the art?
You would be in a better place, tell you that much.
Are we going to end with that right there, sir?
All right.
Possibility.
Be blessed, man. Be blessed.
Yes, sir. Hello to the...
Take care. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.